Good morning, afternoon, or night, depending on when you're watching this. I'm Luna Songbird, and I'm recording my face for the first time in forever because I wanted to try out this little doodad, winding yarn, for a project that I'm hoping to do on this channel. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to get to this project today, but I am tired of video games, so you're going to have to listen to me yap while I wind this yarn. So now you're probably wondering why shirt I am wearing. By the way, this is the yarn I'm using. I have tons of spool of this from my grandma, so yeah, we're here to have a fun time. So you're probably wondering what the shirt I'm wearing is. I got it from Hot Topic. This is not sponsored or affiliated, but like, he's a very handsome man. I actually know what he's from. He's from one of my newer favorite webtoons called Mafia Nanny. They recently came out with a physical copy. I think it's fun. Let's see here. It's by Violet Matter and Shurusu and Dranil. So it's a collaborative story. If I had to guess, Violet Matter might have been the one to come up with the story. So the writer, Shurosu, is likely the one who came up with the character designs and works on sceneries. And Dranils, oh come on, you almost have to have these between your feet while you're doing this. Anyway, and Dranils is likely the one to actually place the characters in the scenes and add on the bubbles. Now, I love it. The plot itself is about this nanny who gets hired by a mafia underboss. If you're triggered by certain terminology like mafia or mentions of criminal undergrounds, do not just skip ahead. I'm not sure when I'll be done talking with this. Who knows? It might be the entire video. But anyway, so it's about this nanny who gets hired to protect his son. Him being Gabriel Angelini, the man on my shirt. He is very, very handsome. I like him a lot. Let's see here. If you'll allow me, I will show you my single most favorite moment in book 1. I've read it online like 3 different times. I've only read through this book once. I love collecting I love that Webtoon is publishing their actual books into physical copies because they have some that are very, very good. I am still holding out hope that they give out a Siren's Lament one because that is one I've wanted a physical book for forever. And I'm weird like that. I love reading offline, and Webtoon Unscrolled allows for that perfect opportunity. Anyway, here is my favorite moment. Don't mind the rest of the page here. But look at that. They use that on all the ads, all the foreshadowing. They use that every time. Why? It's hot. He's hot. He's a very hot man. There's one that's even better. Oh, here we go. Give me just one moment. I should have had this pulled up open. But the man has a personality. It is this one right here. Isn't this enough full access for you? Like, he is the only man I have seen in both cartoon or through any media at all that I believe can pull off a Speedo. Anyway, let's just keep going with this. I personally love it. Number one rule of the agency the nanny is from is actually no romance. Hang on, why is there this knot in the yarn? But still, it's very funny. Her number one priority is Mikey, and she shows that throughout the entire series. However, her priority is also to find out what happened to her parents, which we learn about as the story progresses. If I could just get my spool of yarn to cooperate with me. Obviously, Mikey doesn't like her. He lost his mother like only a year ago, so he is very cold towards her at the beginning. I'm gonna try to not talk about anything that's not in this particular book. But essentially she's there to not only protect Mikey, but also figure out secrets to her past. They make Gabriel so human. So very human. And they are both obvious and subtle about what Gabriel wants for Mikey. Like, they throw hints at you every which way. And the actual boss, the Dawn, for the fictional Angelini Mafia is just so creepy and weird, and I get the ick every time I see him, which is excellent villain writing. Because, these sorts of stories, they always have to make every character somewhat human, and where they want you to, so that sometimes leaves the characters, or the scarier characters, with the weirdest quirks. His quirk, the Dawn's quirk, who is actually Gabriel's uncle and Mikey's great uncle, he straight up eats cocktail olives. Like, he orders a drink with an olive in it, instead of ordering it on the rocks, which is with with ice. Instead, he asks them to fill it to the brim with olives. Every time I see that, I'm like, would you like some drink with your olives? There is not a single scene he is in where he doesn't have some kind of a cup full of olives with him, or is just straight up eating with toothpicks, eating olives out of a jar with toothpicks. Even worse, though, at one point, you see him eating out of it, and he is you see him eating out of it at one point, and he is straight up spitting the olive pits back into the jar, only to grab more olives out of it, and then he drinks the juice. It is disgusting, but also still very intimidating. It's excellent storytelling. I love it. I should have grabbed more of my webtoon books because I have a lot, and I have a lot to say about all of them. I like them a lot. They're so much fun. Come on. I am almost done with the weird band. I think this is one spool I messed with when I was a kid. And experiment with yarn. Well, I know the results of it now. It's annoying as all get out. Let's see here. Almost there, almost there, almost there. Come on. Come on, come on. There we go. Okay. I'm good now. So, geez, that pin thing to help keep the yarn straight is just straight up not working. Why is it? Okay, damn it. I'm gonna tangle this. That is from No Game. From There Is No Game. I love that so much. It's all tangled. How? Hang on. Give me a minute while I detangle it. Alright, I figured it out again. See? You just gotta keep it. I'm learning about this as I go, so this is fine. So I love reading webtoons, webcomics. They're very nice, very accessible. One thing I wish Webtoon did, though, they do have some books that they're releasing for completed series, like Freaking Romance. And what I wish they did for those is included some kind of like gift code in that, or something to perma unlock the episodes included in the volume on the app. So that way you can have the book as like a shelf trophy, but then you don't have to wait days and days on end. That way you can read more than one chapter a day. And thing is, it makes sense. You're spending the money to get a physical copy of the webcomic you like, so why wouldn't you want to have it as a so why wouldn't you unlock it in the app? Because the entire point of having access to it on the phone is so that way you can have it on the go without carrying a clunky book with you around with you. Ah, jeez. I really mucked this up, hadn't I? Oh well. And now this one, I just cannot catch a break here. There. We good? You good now? All right. It's all good. Or not. Jeez. I actually take a lot of inspiration from webcomics and such. I love it. I loved it. I love it. I still do. I'm gonna keep an eye out for the newer ones I read, because there's one called Angel of Death that I really, really like. That I'm hoping they get a physical copy out for that, because the art style is just so pretty, and I love the concept of the story. Come on. Are you not tight enough? There's the problem child. I love doing stuff like this. It's like a little puzzle for me to figure out. Let's see here. Anyway, let's see. Anyway, you're not just here to listen to me yap about books about books I didn't write while I wind yarn. You're here to listen to me yap about the books I'm writing. So, the book I'm trying to get published right now is called Summer in the Prince's Castle. I wrote it back when I was 14 and getting curious about dating. However, I wasn't allowed to date at 14. House rules. I wasn't going to be allowed to date until I was 16. So I had wanted to explore a bit of that while I was reading. Wanted to explore a bit of it before I got into the actual dating world. So what wound up happening here is I go and look for webcomic books and webcomics to see if I could find any stories with characters exploring the dating world. Unfortunately, what I found mostly instead was people exploring and figuring out sexuality, not learning dating for the first time. And the ones that I found that had a focus around dating was still mainly centered around sexuality, and the stories were often about situationships, which I didn't like that. There were a few I found that I liked, like Exception. That one's so fun, so cute. But again, that's one that's figuring out sexuality, not dating rules. I wanted to find stories where the character was exploring dating, just dating, to try and learn about themselves and figure out the world. And there was only one online that I found called Let's Play, which I actually have the physical books about that, but I'll talk about that another day. Anyway, but again, it went into sexuality, not much dating, or it went in from crush to sexual attraction to dating. But that's not what I wanted to figure out. I wanted to see a story where I could figure out myself, where I could date, where the main character was dating someone to figure out if they liked someone. I had a really hard time finding one that was a part of the target age group I was a part of, that didn't get into all the icky stuff, or it made me massively uncomfortable. So instead, I thought maybe I should write my own. I had a recurring daydream at the time of a masquerade and meeting somebody at a masquerade and figuring out if they're compatible or not. You know, the masquerade itself, being the first date. Okay. So I thought, okay, yes, it's a perfect meet cute. Stay out, you and it's getting tangled up again. Okay. So Okay, let's just get you off of here. Again. And then So then I was like, okay, yes, I like that. But now I needed to figure out the main plot. What were the characters? What were their motivations? What were their reasons for being there at that masquerade, right? Because you have to figure that out before you get writing. At least basic concept. So I then went in, and the year was 2018. So the royal wedding happened that year. I actually got permission. Me and my mother actually stayed up that night to watch. We watched the whole thing happen together. It was beautiful. It was amazing. I would not trade that experience for the whole wide world. But it was then, when I was having that daydream again while I was waiting for the wedding procession to start, that I realized, wait a minute, this is an excellent idea. Me and my mother got talking about how they met, their story, why people were so excited about it, and I'm like, wait. And she was a famous actress, which means she already still had, for an American, that's basically nobility status for an American. So I thought, wait, what if she was just a true farm girl? Just someone with excellent enough grades for them to pull an ambassadorship sort of program. And to get her over there. And then the story wrote itself from there. Now, the original idea I had was for it to be a short trilogy. 30 chapters, 100 pages. It was for each book, because I had never written a book before. That seemed like a reasonable goal. I got, within a few months, oh, come on! I need this thing to stay out and lock in place. Ugh. At least I caught it before I had to do the stupid. Okay. Anyway, so I finished the first draft of the book within a few months. It was specifically, though, it was spring break. I actually had some trouble with the final chapter. I knew I wanted it to end in a fight, but I just didn't know how. So I asked my cousin, who was on a camping trip with my family at the time, to see if she had any ideas. Stay. So then, she had this brilliant idea. She wanted to try writing a couple paragraphs. So I said, okay, and let her go to town on it, essentially. I did that, and it turned out very, very well. She went to town, went absolutely ham on it. I looked at what she wrote, And it was good. It was exactly what I wanted. There were just some character things. I never even told her what they were fighting about. I just read the last sentence before this immediate paragraph. Well, few sentences right before it. So that way she would at least understand some of the context. She had no idea about the characters. So she wrote a few paragraphs. I asked if I could use this and make some changes to it, because I fully intended on deleting it after, but I asked her permission if I could use it. She said yes, that I could. So I did that. It wound up being perfect. I just had to make some changes and write some more paragraphs on the characters in order to finish the story itself. And you know what? It worked. It worked brilliantly. Why can't I get this to stay out? And so she wound up finishing my own book for me. And I am very grateful to her for it. But then came the challenge of the second book. Now, my idea was to have the story be just about them in school, like he followed her to America to go to school with her. I think this is full. Give me one moment while I fetch some scissors. I am back with scissors. So I just need to take this off. Anyway, so my idea for the second book was simply just school, just domestic relationship stuff. Them being in school, him having to deal with the fact that he is a prince in a public school in America, where we are obsessed with politics from other countries. And the idea of royalty and nobility, since the closest we have are internet celebrities and actual politicians. So, what I wound up doing here, however, the concept was that she was in her junior year, which I was a sophomore at the time when I was trying to write the first one. Now, we are years later. I am still working on it, but I've expanded from the rough draft phase. I'm onto the first draft of it now. I'm only like 6 chapters in, like midway through chapter 6 out of 30. So not great. But I came to realize that the whole school idea for book 2 is just kind of not a great main concept or main storyline. That a better idea is actually likely to be 2020, which is what happened in my junior year. Which, funny enough, that actually saved my school career. But that's... I need to stop itching my nose. But that's just a story for another time. So anyway, now the idea is that there it goes again. So when 2020 happened, that actually made me hit a huge wall, which I had hit a major wall before that. I had actually screwed up the timeline a little bit and was struggling a lot with the story. When 2020 happened and George Floyd riots happened, it was then I realized that, wait a minute, I could use that for my story itself. So then it got better. Or from there, I had to figure out what could I do with the whole George Floyd situation that I couldn't do with the other one. I was big into Discord role playing. I found that it helped me out a lot with figuring out plot lines and that. Then it hit me. I could introduce a fantasy element into it. Have magic be hiding away from the world for centuries and just have it revealed then. That would allow me to not only introduce an interesting overarching plot line, but also to allow for me to introduce more complicated stuff like what I was beginning to learn in school, which I was very fortunate to have English and history teachers that were really fixated on critical race theory and manifest destiny, that sort of thing. And I was learning a lot about that at school at the time. So I thought, wait a minute, using what happened in 2020 to introduce that sort of thing into my book was actually a really good idea. After that, I kind of lost the plot. I had completely just spaced out on it and began building my larger fantasy world to make an entirely new series out of. I would spend the next 5 or so years figuring out everything I needed for that world to make sense. So I made it, and I liked it. The main plot incident that made the world hide was the Roman Empire. And I loved it. I came up with a whole set of characters and even realized, wait, I could make an immortal and do it in a completely different series. A couple years ago, though, I got into another big rut for writing. And and I had to stop and think. I needed to finish book 2. So I started over completely from scratch, and last year, it took months to do, but I finally finished the rough draft for book 2, which was awesome. But now, as I'm writing it again, and I am struggling, I am so struggling with this, that I have come to the realization that 3 books is too many. I can just end it with a happy ending in book 2 and then focus on the bigger passion project, which I am also working on the side. I don't have a good name for it yet. For right now, I am actually just calling it the Dragon Princess the Dragon Princess Adventures of the Dragon Princess, which the entire thing is just meant to be this whole fantasy novel thing with in an autobiographic style similar to the Little House on the Prairie books, which I actually have the entire book set in my bedroom. I haven't listened to the full thing, unfortunately, but yeah. So that's what I'm doing. There's going to be lots and lots of books, and I'm finding a lot of inspiration within Brandon Sanderson's books, which I'm unfortunately having to stop listening to the audiobooks for it because I keep missing important details. Anyway, these are the two I made. Maybe I didn't have to cut it. Once I got scissors and put them there, they're... Oh well, learning moment for everybody. Anyway, so I have the rough draft for the first book in that saga down, but I just don't have the one for the other book series down yet. Again, I'm only working for... I have the rough draft for the first book down, completely written. I know the basic plot line of it. I want to go through with it, which y'all are gonna have to wait until after I'm done with Summer in the Princess Castle theory series to do it. I'm not 100% sure about and it's gonna be a lot of trial and error. I am sorry, but it is. Hopefully I can hear back from literary agents about it soon. I'm thinking in another episode of this I can make a video demo of me reading my book to all of you, because that would just be really fun for me, and I'd have something more unique than a PDF. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today. Unfortunately, I am out of the yarn. I don't want to dig out the other ones quite yet, because this is gonna be... because again, I'm planning to record the project. But I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. And I'll see you in another video with whatever I plan to do.